What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a different kind of video. So I recently beat Final Fantasy 16 because it just came out, and I saw a discussion there yesterday of like who's the strongest, like who's the most powerful Final Fantasy protagonist. So I said, that's an interesting topic actually, because there are some very powerful Final Fantasy uh, protagonists. So I thought, why not go ahead and try to make a list of my own? Quick note though, I haven't played a couple of the games. I haven't played Final Fantasy 11 or 14. I discounted 11 because of that. It's not on the list. But 14, I actually do know like how powerful the protagonist is. So, like, the reason I haven't played them is because uh me and I don't go well with MMOs. If I were to start playing, I'd probably never play anything else. But so I do actually know how powerful FF14's protagonist is. So I'm leaving him on the list. I took 11 off. Other than that, I think most of them I know. I haven't played 12 or 9, but I think I have an idea of where they go on the list. So yeah, or actually 10 for that matter. I still haven't played 10. I have all of them installed. I just haven't gotten around to playing them. That's weird. Maybe I'll do a series where I just play through every single Final Fantasy game on my channel next. That actually sounds like good fun. So anyway, we might as well start, get the easiest one out of the way. Yeah, also the image is clipped for some reason, so you're looking at a lot of torsos. But we'll start with the easiest one to place. This is Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. She's multiversal. She is the strongest Final Fantasy protagonist. She in at the end of Final Fantasy 13-3, which is Lightning Returns, she kills the like capital G god of her multiverse, and yeah, she rebuilds the universe in like herself. So she is literally like she's the equivalent of Christian God in her universe. So yeah, there's no doubting that Lightning is the strongest. Um, we'll put Warrior of Light also in multiversal because for Final Fantasy 14 at the end of Endwalker, the most recent expansion of Final Fantasy 14, and there is more expansions coming, so it'll only get stronger. He gets an ability, I believe, that makes it so every time he loses a fight, he can just go back to the start of the fight, and like he can just skip back to the beginning of the fight and have all knowledge of how the fight is going to play out and just redo the fight over and over until he wins. So he technically can't ever lose a fight. Um, and it also like shows him like attack paths and stuff that his enemies are going to make. So yeah, I'm happy to say he's multiversal. He's not as strong as Lightning, but he is definitely up there. Um, there are two more characters that are going to go in multiversal tier. One I think is generally agreed upon. It's uh Noctis. Well, actually, Noctis goes in planetary. So there's one more character in multiversal. Noctis is high planetary because he's definitely like top five strongest protagonists. Um, I don't think that's very controversial. I think it's generally agreed upon that Noctis is that guy. Even people who don't like Final Fantasy 15 kind of give Noctis his props for being ridiculously powerful. I do like Final Fantasy 15, I will say. I'm a fan. I think the road trip narrative is kind of fun and fresh. But we'll put our last multiversal. It's the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy One. This one is a bit odd to explain. So in Stranger of Paradise, the prequel game that came out there a couple of years ago, um, Jack Garland, who is the main villain of Final Fantasy One, is who you play as, and there himself and his like team who become the fiends of Final Fantasy One, the boss fights like. They get teleported into this universe, and they it's the Final Fantasy One universe, and they are like trying to help. But basically, what happens is there's this event that happens where Jack has to become chaos in order to, defeat the bad guys. I haven't played Stranger of Paradise, but this is I know the narrative. Um, I haven't played it. It's also one that's installed on my on my Xbox. But so Jack has to become Chaos, and in doing so, he becomes more powerful than Bahamut from the Final Fantasy 15 universe. Um, he becomes more powerful than the person who controls Bahamut from the Final Fantasy 15 universe, and in doing that, that means the Warrior of Light, who beats Garland, is more powerful than Bahamut from Noctis's universe, and Noctis is like immortal, whereas uh, Noctis is like leagues weaker than Bahamut in his universe. Bahamut is ridiculously powerful in Final Fantasy 15. So that means the Warrior of Light is stronger than Bahamut. So that means that Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy 1 also goes in. We're saying multiversal here, but I don't think the two Warrior of Lights are actually multiversal. I think that's just lightning. So actually, I'm going to correct it there. These are strong planetary. Next up, we have Firion from FF2. This is an easy one. Weakest in the verse. There is no weaker Final Fantasy protagonist than Firion. Um, yeah, just straight up. Next up, we'll go with Luneth. I believe in you. I don't actually know how Luneth scales compared to the rest of them, but let's assume it's an Onion Knight, quite powerful, but I think Final Fantasy 3 just has lower scaling than the rest of the games, to be honest. Cecil will also go in I Believe in You, lower than actually no, we'll put him over Luneth. So that's going they're kind of our bottom three because the earlier games do have much like lower scaling. We'll go with another easy one. Cloud goes in planetary. He's weaker than them, but he is very strong. Clive also goes in planetary. I will put him above Cloud, but see, Clive is kind of a weird one because so a lot of people are saying that Clive is like the second strongest behind Lightning. But like the end of the game is kind of a weird one because the spell he's using at the end of the game, which is like too much power for his body to handle, and like he needs to absorb the power of Ultima, which is like the creator of humanity in his universe and an extremely powerful multi-dimensional being and all this stuff. All of that power is just to use rays, which uh like white mages in all of these games are able to use rays like multiple times a battle, and yet Clive is technically stronger than them because the way the magic works in Final Fantasy 16 is weird. He dies using rays once, whereas they can use it a bunch of times and they're fine. But he is still stronger because I don't think any of them are gonna beat him in a fight. Like if he just transform into Ifrit and fuck them all up. Let's see who's next. This is Bart's. Um, See, it depends on what version of Bart's you say actually, because if it's the version that has the mime job class, if it's that version of Final Fantasy V, he's in strong. If it's the version where it's just freelancer, then he's still in strong, but he's a lower strong. Terra is also strong. Terra is kind of weird because she's like the first person in her universe to actually have magic abilities, and so it's odd. But I do think Kefka becomes like extremely powerful. Like he is planetary, but the thing about Tara is that there's like 14 of them fighting him. So I would say strong tier for her. Leon fights Ultimecia, who is power over time. So I will put Leon in planetary as well because, yeah, yeah. Um, from what I've heard, I've already said I haven't played these three. From what I've heard, he will go here. Um, I can't even remember his name. Um, Kuja, is it? I can't remember. That guy goes there. He goes there. Tidus, of course, Tidus. I know that from Final Fan or from Kingdom Hearts, and I believe Vaughn is. Am I right in saying that Vaughn is like actually quite weak? Like, am I right in saying that Vaughn is weak and his entire actually now that I think about it goes up in planetary. Bart's does because now that I think about it, X Death literally recreates the world, and then Bart defeats him in a more powerful form than the form that X Death recreates the world in. So he's going there. Vaughn, am I right in saying that Vaughn is like the weakest of the party in Final Fantasy 12, and he's basically just like the fish out of water point of view character while like the narrative is happening around him. Like it's other people that are affecting the narrative. So am I right in saying that? I think I am. So yeah, this is I this is I believe the okay, so we're gonna balance it out there because I'm always triggered um by tier lists that don't have an actual like tier distribution. Uh I should rename the tiers, but this is what we have. So strongest we have Lightning. Second strongest we have Final Fantasy XIV's Warrior of Light. Third strongest we have Final Fantasy I's Warrior of Light. Fourth strongest we have Noctis Lucis Kylum. Fifth strongest we have Clive Rosfield. Sixth strongest we have Final Fantasy IX Guy. Sixth strongest we have our seventh strongest we have Bart's. Eighth strongest is Cloud. Ninth strongest is Leon. Sorry, Squall. Leon is only his name is in Kingdom Hearts. 10th strongest we have Tidus, which is actually quite funny because Final Fantasy X, you know. 11th strongest we have Terra. 12th strongest we have Vaughn. 13th strongest we have Cecil. Unfortunately, my goat, but he's not the universe that he's in is like Zemus is strong, Zeromus, but like compared to other villains in the series, he's not. Same with Lunit. Cloud of Darkness is not that high scaling, so yeah. And then Furion in last because I really do think that Final Fantasy 2 is just like leagues lower on the scaling than everything else. So that's what we have. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, comment them below. If you like the video, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Peace.